Joining us now is Michelle Yeehee Lee, political reporter at The Washington Post. Michelle, before we get to the primaries, just looking at what we've seen Donald Trump tweeting in just the last couple of hours or so, of course, he looks to the markets for a measure of his success, and he has been very critical of the oil price trade war and also playing down the impacts of the coronavirus. Have you seen any kind of shift in his language or any kind of signs out of the White House as to what strategy they may take here?
Well, the White House advisors are now presenting to the president various policy proposals that he may want to consider to try to fend off some of the economic impacts of coronavirus. As you mentioned, having a stable economy, the potential impacts of coronavirus on the U.S. and global economies is a huge risk for him, especially for his re-election campaign. So as you can imagine, he is paying very close attention to this.
Any idea yet, Michelle, on what some of those proposals might be?
There have been a couple proposals under consideration, but I believe they're having the meetings right now. So I'm not clear on the exact details yet, but I'm sure that will come out very quickly.
Yes, I think so too. And the pace of these announcements is really what matters when it comes to the markets. There's only an hour and a half left to trade on Wall Street at the moment, but there's plenty going on in the US too. The primary race between Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Well, it looks like Joe Biden is pulling ahead of Michigan too.
Yes, it's going to be a very big day here in the United States tomorrow with Biden versus Sanders. The key point to look at in terms of Tuesday's elections here is how Biden and Sanders do in Michigan. Michigan was a very big state for Bernie Sanders in 2016. That's actually where he pulled off his big upset victory against Hillary Clinton and really rode the momentum for many more months in the campaign. Now we're going to have to see if Sanders is able to pull off that same type of victory, or if Biden has a wider support in Michigan. And this is a very important state because there's a big black population. It's a big Midwestern state. So the way that Sanders performs in this state can be a really key sign of his electability in other more minority-based and more Midwestern states.
Well, Michelle, wouldn't that favour Joe Biden? He's got he's so far had a big African-American turnout for him, and there are big portions of Michigan that are working-class voters too.
Right. Biden has a lot more support than Clinton did in 2016. And over the past couple of days, he has had so much momentum, or Joe-mentum, like some people like to call it, because all of the moderate Democratic candidates who dropped out of the presidential race have quite coalesced around his candidacy now. Senator Cory Booker just today came out in support of him. Senator Kamala Harris supported him as of yesterday. And you're seeing all these key figures who were actually running against him earlier in the year now fully backing him, and that is a type of momentum that is really going to propel him forward. And as you said, he already has a very strong support from minority voters as well as other more diverse cross-section of voters in the Midwest and beyond. And that is the strength that Bernie Sanders is now going to be up against.
Okay, Michelle Yeehee Lee, appreciate it, a political reporter at The Washington Post. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks.